Hello, welcome back to First Thoughts. I'm Simon, this is Justin, and today we're giving our first thoughts on Clown in a Cornfield. Is it in a? Yes, it's in a Clownfield. Yep, is the title.
Yeah, Clowns in a Clownfield.
God damn it.
Well, that was a movie.
It was based on a novel by Adam Caesar and was co-written and directed by Eli Craig, who I didn't recognize by name, but was the director of Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, which makes a lot of sense because it's a very similar vibe. It's starring a lot of people that are relatively unknown, such as Katie Douglas, Aaron Abrams, Carson McCormick, and Vincent Muller, but it also has some faces you'd probably recognize in Will Sasso and Kevin Durand, our old friend. We've seen him 3 times recently now. You should recognize him, goddammit.
Sure, I should.
Now that you've heard the name Kevin Durand, do you know who that is?
No.
God damn it. You have to at least remember that we've talked about that because that's such a unique, or I guess opposite of unique name. The recent movies that we saw him in he was in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Granted, you don't see his face.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But he was also in Abigail, the little vampire girl movie, and was a pretty prominent role in that. He was the big dumb guy.
Listen, I don't doubt he was, but I'll admit, this is one of the first times I thought about that movie since that movie.
No, I've been a big fan of Kevin Durand since I think the first time I was aware of him was Planet of the Apes, because those 2 movies came out like back to back. They were like 2 weeks apart tops. So I remember being like, oh, this guy sounds like the basketball player, ha ha ha. And then I was like, oh, he's a really good actor. And then I saw him really soon after that. I went, and I still like him. And now a year later or whatever it's been, I'm like, yep, like him again. Not that he doesn't have nearly as much screen time as he did in Abigail, but still. Yeah, so if you don't know what this is, it's kind of a smaller budget movie. I think there was 7 production companies involved is what I counted. I think something around there. Basically, there's a town of people that we've got new transplants to, a doctor and his teenage daughter who have recently lost their mother/wife and are now trying to fit in when serial killer stuff starts happening. And it's kind of like, your typical whodunit kind of thing, but mixed with comedy, a la Thanksgiving or one of those other things that we've seen. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed this movie so much. What did you think?
I gotta say, I totally misunderstood how long this movie was. Like, I knew the timeline, but I swear I must have been like halfway through the movie when I thought we were very close to the ending. So at first I thought, wow, this movie, villain-wise, not very good. Not very good at all. I was very confused. I remember seeing the genre tags for this. I saw gore. I'm like, One Kill had some gore in it.
Yeah.
This was not really exciting up to this point, except for those teenagers. I really enjoyed their interactions with each other, and they were pretty funny all around.
All the acting is good, too. I loved everybody in the movie. Even bit part guys. Like, there's this shopkeeper guy, this short, fat Asian guy.
Oh, yeah.
And I loved him in his 2 seconds. I thought he was great.
Listen, he had to hear that fight with the grandma.
Yeah.
But, and then the second half of the movie happened. And wow, the gore showed up some more.
Sure.
I mean, the villains were never scary, but I gained a much greater appreciation for the movie as it went on, which is kind of surprising. For
this kind of movie, this style. I will say, even with it ramping up, the gore, when comparing it to other stuff in the genre, like Heart Eyes is the next closest thing we've seen recently, I would think. Heart Eyes is way gorier.
Oh, way.
And it kind of does feel like it's partially a budget thing. Like, there's a couple of deaths where you're like, that probably would have been more fun if they had more money to throw at that scene. But I was never disappointed by an effect or let down or bored or anything. I just think it could have been bigger and more fun that way, but they do the best they can with what limited money they seem to have. Like I said, the 2 biggest names in the movie are Will Sasso and Kevin Durand. It's not like we're breaking out the big name actors and stuff.
Hey, what are you talking about? We're getting to them early.
Do you know who Will Sasso is?
The name sounds familiar.
He's a mainly comedic actor. He played Curly in the Three Stooges remake 15 years ago, whenever that was. He was on Mad TV. He did a lot of comedy there. He's an impressions guy. He does a lot of impressions. So it's funny hearing him do an accent because they're like middle of the country kind of stuff. So he's doing an accent Yeah, he's doing an accent, and I wasn't used to hear him doing an accent that wasn't for comedic purposes. So he was doing an accent that was subtle enough that it was actually good and not like over the top and silly. And I was like, he's actually good at this. I'm kind of shocked. So one compliment I will pay it, since you already said one thing that you were surprised was good about it, in that it got better as it went, where most of these movies don't.
Yeah.
Even Hard Eyes that we loved said the ending was the worst part by far of the movie.
Yeah.
This movie shocked me in that it's, a typical, there's a villain who's masked, so you don't know who it is. You're spending the whole movie trying to figure out who it is, and usually it's really predictable, unless it does something really stupid, a la Hard Eyes, where even if it's predictable, you're like, but the way they did it was dumb.
Come on, what? You didn't see the throuple?
Well, I don't know if we can spoil that movie. How old is that movie? A couple months. If you haven't seen it yet, screw you. This movie had 2 plot twists that I didn't see coming. Not just 1, 2 that shocked me. So props to them. And granted, like I said, it's based on a book. I don't know how accurate it is. Didn't Google it. Don't care.
Close enough.
Not interested in the book, really. Sorry, Mr. Caesar. But what I will say is, whether it was the writers of the movie or the writers of the book, either way, the fact that it got me twice is impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I definitely did not see probably the first one of those coming. The first big reveal. That was interesting. It does make you realize much of the mystery surrounding the identity of the clown pretty quickly after that first reveal happens.
Yeah.
But there were still some parts to be yet to be revealed, and they were still kind of shocking.
Yeah, it was funny, too, for me, where there was multiple aspects of the writing of this movie that made me think of Stephen King books or adaptations.
Okay.
And so it was funny that I didn't see that twist coming, because that's a very Stephen King-like twist to do. And so I was like, after the fact, once it happened, I was like, I probably should have seen that coming, but I didn't. When you watch these kind of movies, like I literally said to you pretty quick before they actually did the reveal, I said, are we pulling a Scream right now? Because I thought that was the direction. And so often with these kind of movies, they're doing something we've already seen before, whether it's following the Scream formula or the Scooby-Doo formula or whatever it is. And so it's pretty predictable. This one, I guess you could argue it fits into a formula, but it's like, the way they did it, I just wasn't ready for. Yeah. And so, like I said, props to them. When you're making a horror comedy and you're leaning into the comedy, that's the most important thing. I'm not expecting the writing, therefore, to be clever. And so when it actually is, I'm like, oh, cool.
And you know what? The most important aspect of this, clearly, the comedy,
is great.
It was pretty freaking funny.
Really good. It was very good.
It was crazy.
There may have been a couple of jokes that didn't land.
Yeah, that's fine.
But that happens in every comedy, I feel like.
I was amazed how much I liked the teenagers' interactions with each other. And just basically their interactions with everybody in the town.
Yeah.
They were all around
also,
great.
when it wanted to be earnest, it was, too.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't feel like any of that was disingenuous. Like, it felt like authentic the whole time. I don't have any major complaints about this movie. I just had a good time. Not saying, Oscar movie. It's not trying to be that, but I'm ready to give it a confident 7. I'd give this movie a 7.
I did not think I'd be giving this a 7.
Me neither.
At all. I saw you pick the clown horror movie, and I went,
what the hell are we doing?
I was trying to test my childhood. I grew up...
I forgot.
Yeah, I grew up with I'll say, crippling fear of clowns. Now, I got over it by the time I was like 10, 12, but I stayed away from anything clown horror.
Yeah.
Except for that one time I accidentally bought a book where there was a clown horror villain. I didn't catch that from the synopsis.
Is it from Stories to Read in the Dark, where it's like the one with the cornfield where like a bunch of kids go running through and then one goes missing at a time or something, and then eventually I think it's like I think it's an evil scarecrow or something. I don't remember. That was like one of the only times I ever remember actually reading something that scared me, because I read it when I was like probably 10, and I was like, ooh, fun kid horror, and then I was like, this is terrifying.
See, like, Goosebumps and stuff never really scared me, but like...
This was on a different level.
I wouldn't have been scared by this book if it weren't for the fact that the evil villain was a clown.
Yeah.
And then I just remember it was like he like walks into a bowling alley and he's got big shoes that he's throwing everywhere. and they're grenades. And he's just throwing shoe grenades around, and I'm just terrified. It's like a second or third grader reading this book.
I love the clown shoes in this. The shoes. So first of all, I will say before I get into that, there have been so many killer clowns that it's hard to make it interesting or different or unique or fun in any way. Like, immediately I go into a movie that's got a clown villain, and I'm thinking a few different things. I'm thinking Pennywise. Yeah. I'm thinking the Joker. I'm thinking Art the Clown. I'm thinking a bunch of different things. So you have to find a way. And by the way, the fact that Art the Clown was able to be unique and different that late as well is unique, but it's fascinating. But anyway, so the fact that this was unique enough in little ways, like every time the freaking clown takes a step, his shoes squeak. And I'm like, I love this. It's so good.
It's authentic to the clown.
It's amazing. And then, you know, the little Jack-in-the-Box he leaves as like a calling card is reminiscent of a million other things you've seen, but it is still at least different.
Yeah, it works.
So, I mean, I appreciate that.
And it's got the little tension, you know, Jack-in-the-Box always has caused a little tension, always been used.
I would say, sure, it's not the most memorable villain in the world. Kind of similarly like we were saying about Hard Eyes, where I'm like, that guy, if this was a serious horror movie, it wouldn't be good enough to stand on his own. But in the context of a horror comedy, definitely serviceable.
Yeah, I will remember this villain much better than Hard Eyes.
Yeah. Even within the genre, better than I expected it to be. Like, it's rare, I feel like, that you give movies of this genre higher than like a 6. Because, like, you know it's bad, but it's fun.
Yeah.
This one was like, but was it bad? I don't really remember any parts that were bad. It's not great, but it wasn't bad.
It wasn't really bad. I mean, I guess it was his character. They got a little preachy a couple times, but not even that bad.
But even that was funny.
It was funny.
Like, it started going full, like, social commentary at a certain point. And I was like, okay, cool.
Just out of nowhere, but just him. But
I loved it.
Yeah, no. And then, just all the teenager interactions were pretty hilarious. A lot of the interactions with some of the adults were pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
Villain turned out much better than I thought going in. Gore turned out much better than it was for the first, let's say, third of the movie.
I will still say, though, if, like, you think this type of genre sounds fun, but gore is something that would normally keep you away from it, then maybe this is your kind of, like, way in. This is your gateway into that genre, because, like, the gore isn't as bad as most of these movies typically are. So if you think, oh, making fun of horror movies while still having a fun mystery, that sounds fun, but it's always been skeeving me out, the gross stuff, then this is probably the movie for you then.
That final death was hilarious.
The ending is the weak part, though. You said it got better, but then the ending felt so...
Yeah, it's just so...
like we were missing something.
No, it really doesn't make a lot of sense.
However, the post-credit scene with Chris Evans' Human Torch, though, really... Man, that was crazy. For those of you who don't know, at least this happens to me. Every time I Google a movie asking if there's a post-credit scene, the stupid Google AI bullshit will say, yes, such and such movie that you just asked does have a post-credit scene, and then it'll give you a synopsis of the post-credit scene from Deadpool and Wolverine. AI is so advanced, it's gonna rule the world, guys. It's stupid. It's really stupid. Google, get your shit together. Alright, we're gonna get into spoilers now, though, so if you don't want anything spoiled, you should click away, go watch it. We do recommend it. Go watch it, come back, and we can talk about it then. But also, don't forget to like, share, follow, review, subscribe, all those things. All of it does help. Thanks, guys. Bye. So, spoilers.
So, one thing I just learned as I was looking up the post-credit scene is there are 2 other novels of material to work with in addition to the story laid out in this one. I guess that's why they've got sequels. I'll at least forgive it a little for it being potentially a book element. Yeah. Because if that was just hey, let's leave the door open for sequels, because this might make money from a studio decision, that would have been real annoying. But all right, they got 2 other books. I don't really love
it. Feels like, that actually reminds me of, like, the book ending of A Series of Unfortunate Events, where he kind of just ran away. every
Yeah.
time, and it was like there was never a wrap up. I didn't finish that series because I got bored. But so for context, if you haven't seen it, which shame on you, you're still here. So normally in these kind of movies, what happens is the villain seemingly dies, but in a vague way. Like there's an explosion or there's a fire. Or he gets shot and falls out of a window, but you don't see him when you look down. Stuff like that. In this one, he just drives away, and then the good guys are still solving things because they're figuring stuff out. And then, now you two make out and you two get up, and then, but there's a clown and we drive him over. This whole time I'm going, all right, he's going to jump out and attack them.
Right.
And then it fades into this epilogue where she's getting ready to go off to college, I think it was.
So
they give her like a parting gift and it's like goodbye, and then she drives off, and then she sees a little thing in her car and goes, throws it out. And then the movie ends, and it's like, well, no. I know he's not actually going to be dead, but you have to at least pretend he did. We just didn't see him again.
And listen, apparently, because this is apparently a trilogy of books, I guess they don't have to pretend at all. They just want you to know, hey, he's alive. He probably put that in the car, and I guess he's gonna follow her to college now. Even though he probably should just go back to the town, kill her dad, his son, and the gay lover.
Yeah, but the only way that, like, the clown works is if there's a bunch of them. So how is he just going to go to college? Is he going to recruit a bunch of people on his way? Say, don't you hate Gen Z? Let's kill them all. Them and their stupid videos.
You know what it was? You know what it is? All those people, first off, there's two options. First off, maybe that wasn't all the clowns in town. Maybe they're just, laying low since the first time it failed.
Maybe she goes to clown college.
That would be... I need to study the enemy.
Sorry, finish your point. It was too good of a joke. I couldn't. I couldn't not.
Maybe all those people that died had some, siblings or cousins or parents. Go up to them. They killed your family member. You got to get revenge for them. Dress up like a clown.
Yeah, and then it could be clowns in a Cornfield Generations would be the sequel.
see. Now it's not a literal cornfield anymore. We're gonna name the college Cornfield.
Yeah.
Clowns at
or
Cornfield.
she goes to Cornell and it's clowns in Cornell.
Clowns in Cornell's field.
Yeah, it all takes place in the football field for some reason. They can't get out. They've barred all the doors. In the field, I guess.
He stiffs arms a clown. Get away.
Carrying the head of one of the students.
Oh, come on. No, it's perfect. She's got Saquon backwards hurdle.
She is from Philly.
Yeah.
She is from Philly.
Yes.
She's a Saquon Barkley fan.
Oh my God, it works.
Oh my God, that was every time Philadelphia gets mentioned, because it's happened a lot recently. I feel like maybe I'm just, but like in Hard Eyes, they're randomly just like, Philly, and I'm like, what the fuck? And it's just like, or what else was it? But it's always constantly being name dropped. Red One, they're like, I love coming to Philly. Got their pretzels. I'm like, what the? Why? Why are we talking? Everybody hates us. Stop mentioning us. Go away.
Hey, they all secretly love us. You know it
because they hate us. Anyway, so sorry to everybody who was expecting a review of the movie. Apparently, we're just talking about hypothetical sequels. So this movie, it's hilarious, dude. The dialogue between characters is so snappy and so quick, and they like. In a lot of times in really serious moments when it cuts away to a joke, it can be annoying, but if it's funny enough, I don't care. So like this doctor, he's been forced by one clown to take care of another clown who got his hand shot off, which by the way, I thought that clown was Will Sasso because he was a little bit fatter and you didn't see who it was.
Yeah.
So I thought that one was going to be the Will Sasso character, but anyway, it's not. And so he's taking care of him, and then he quickly grabs a knife and he stabs the clown in the neck and goes, don't take that out. And then he takes it out and immediately starts bleeding out. He's like, and see, now you're going to die. You would have been fine.
That's what I was saying.
Like, I tried to tell you. And then there's a part where they're in the house, and then this clown comes in with a pitchfork and stabs the girl. And she falls in, and she's like, oh my God. And she's like, I can't look at it. Am I okay? And she's like, no, you're not okay. And then she goes to pull it out to defend herself against the clown. He's like, no, don't pull it out. And just like, I gotta.
Sorry.
Takes it out and stabs the clown, who then falls over. And then the girl's like, I hate you. And the clown goes like, yeah, me too.
They both just died next to each other.
It was so good.
This movie was great. The funniest part to me was when the one girl runs out the cornfield with the arrow in her back.
Yeah.
And they just, because the whole time, the gang of these, like, the cool kids around or whatever, they've been making these prank horror YouTube shorts or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
And they're just
videos.
And they're just with the town's clown mascots, and so they're screwing around with the clown, and don't mess with the clown. Don't mess with Friendo. So they prank each other constantly with this clown costume.
I want to know why that old guy was in jail. They never explained why the old guy was in jail.
And he did some freaky shit with the clown. But he was respectful.
Yeah.
But so when they see the girl come out and she's been shot with this arrow and she falls face forward, they think it's just another one of the pranks. Mm-hmm. They go up.
Oh, did you die?
Yeah, they're trying not to be scared.
Yeah.
Fuck around with her. They come up, smack the arrow in her back, flick it a little.
Yeah. And then toss the head so blood goes spraying.
Yeah, no. So then they're standing there out of nowhere. A head comes out of the cornfield.
Cornell.
With a clown mask on it.
It was very reminiscent of Tropic Thunder. That's why it wasn't my favorite, because I feel like I've seen this joke before. Have you seen Tropic Thunder?
It's been a while, but I have seen it.
There's when they all think they're on the movie set, they're walking around and the director just gives like a big, like, come on, get your shit together speech, and then turns around, stands on the landmine, and blows up. And so they're all freaking out except for Ben Stiller. He goes like, come on, it's pyrotechnics, get over it. And he picks up the head and goes like, it's obviously fake, look at it. And he sticks his finger up in there and then licks it like it's corn syrup. And he's like, blood-flavored corn syrup. So, yeah, I mean, I think Tropic Thunder did it better, but it was still a funny joke. I've just seen it done before. I say that there was a couple things that got me, but overall it is still fairly predictable, I guess, at least as far as the beats of the movie go, because the first fake out relies entirely on you forgetting that this black kid exists. And I'm like, if you were going to try to make us forget any of them exist, like, there's multiple white guys. Take away one of the white guys, but it's like there's only one black guy and then a girl that's either black or mixed or something. Right. And it's like, if you were going to take one guy away and hope nobody would notice, why did you pick him? Of course we're going to notice he's not there. And the whole jump scare relies on you not remembering that he exists. I will say, it still made me doubt myself, because when he comes out, he's got like guts hanging out and stuff. So I was like, if I wasn't paying attention, maybe I would have fallen for that. But I was like, I just know the other kid's there. Yeah, and I agree. Not seeing him around made me think either he was going to jump scare or that he was going to be killed off screen real quickly. Or maybe we flash to him and he gets killed really quickly. Yeah, but he has to die first. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, you have the black guy away and it's a horror film. You're like, oh, come on, guys. Really? Yeah. Really? Are you fucking with us here? And no, they weren't fucking with us, because he still gets killed first of the group later on. Just anyway. A couple scenes later, yeah. But they did trick me as well when he came out with his guts hanging out, because up until that point, what I've been saying, because it was still like the first third of the movie, the gore to that point had been so basic. Nobody died yet, other than the couple. Yeah, there was the couple, and then was there like one other thing, and then the guy. No. Nobody else had died at all yet. We hadn't seen the clown. I thought there was one other thing, but no, we had definitely seen the clown. Well, I mean, yeah, but like beginning. But like their deaths at the beginning were so basic too, off screen. Like the guy got stabbed up. Yeah, she had some gash in her head that we didn't see. Yeah. Then he just got picked up on a pitchfork. Yeah, it was just your basic. And then so with the slash, I thought, oh, I guess we're just doing that again. I guess. Yeah. I started thinking this whole movie was going to be boring, low budget bullshit.
Before he's gore wise, I was pretty interested in the teenager
Yeah, because
interactions.
they were all so fun. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was just going to be real, basic on the gore, and then thankfully that picked up, and then the whole mystery of the multiple clowns is pretty great.
We should explain that in case you haven't seen it. So the plot twist, because when I said I thought they were doing the Scream thing, is so in case you haven't seen Scream recently, there's a party scene. The main girl and her boyfriend go up to a room to have sex, and then he starts acting weird, and you're like, oh no, he's the bad guy, and then something happens and he gets caught with the knife and mask and gets put in jail, and then somebody else dies, so it's like, oh, he wasn't the bad guy, and then plot twist at the end, he is the bad guy. There's just two of them. Right. And so this movie, there's a party and the girl and the guy go and they go to have sex, and then he starts acting really weird. I'm like, are we just doing fucking Scream? And then he disappears, and then the clown shows up, and I'm like, yeah, we're doing Scream. And then a second clown starts coming out, and then a third and fourth, fifth, and then he pops out going like, let's get out of here, guys. And she's like, where were you? He's like, I was looking for you. And then you realize as you're panning across the clowns that they are all townsfolk. Right. And then you remember all of the old people treating them weird the whole time. Yeah. And you're like, oh, so this is something that reminded me of Stephen King. I'm like, the whole town hates them. And I'm like, okay, cool. I like this. Didn't see that coming at all, and I appreciate that. The other thing that I didn't see coming was that the boyfriend who wasn't a boyfriend was gay. And I love that plot twist too. That was so much fun.
Yeah, I didn't guess that until their scene in the shed.
I didn't even get it then, and I missed a lot of the dialogue in that scene. I could not understand what he was saying. I just thought, because I was too centered on, oh, he's the killer now.
See, I get the killer vibe, but at that point I started to think it was more revenge, because like with them explaining multiple times that it was the electrical fire, for some reason I just thought maybe the electrical part isn't true, but I actually believe this gang that they didn't set the fire.
Yeah. And
I felt like you're trying to make me believe that maybe they did, or maybe they weren't really, but I didn't believe much at all that they did. So it started to feel like he couldn't exactly be the villain.
Right.
But there was a lot of townsfolk I would have guessed for the one clown. I would have never seen all of them coming.
Yeah.
But no. All I could catch from their conversation while they were making out was essentially him saying slower, slower, slower. Yeah. To the point where she stops kissing him and essentially starts grinding. Then at one point she like makes this move and this look that made me think, he's not getting hard. Maybe he's gay, or maybe there's something else. And then she immediately runs out and then runs into the blonde girl where he's like, oh, he rejects everybody. I'm like, oh, okay, he's in the closet.
Yeah, no, I didn't get that at all, because I was still I was thinking about the plot. And so I was going, like, because up until that point, I'm like, it's definitely not him, it's definitely not him. And then once I went, oh, they're doing the Scream route. Right. So I'm like, so it is him, but there needs to also be a second guy. So I started thinking, who's the second guy? And the first thought was his dad, because it's like, first of all, there's a connection there. But second of all, Kevin Durand is probably the biggest name in the movie. Same thing with Matthew Lillard in Five Nights at Freddy's. You cast him for a reason, and you don't show him at all. Like, he doesn't even get introduced until after the first death. Yeah. And so I'm like, he's here for a reason, right? But then I was like, but that could just be a mislead. So I was like, who else does he have a connection with? And so then I thought maybe it was Rust. And so I was thinking maybe they're a duo. So I picked up on weird things going on between them. Really weird things going on there. Because I knew it was like, they obviously were really close and now they weren't anymore. So I was like, maybe he killed somebody, or he crossed the line and they didn't agree anymore. I was like, something's going on. So yeah, I was way off. So this is the first time in a while that one of these movies completely threw me off.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? A little bit, at least? The Perks of Being a Wallflower. The brother with the jock character in that movie.
Okay.
That's
there's a lot less murder in that movie.
No, I'm just talking just
I figured that out after the fact. Yeah. I was like, what? What?
Now listen, the tunnel scenes. Identical.
This really reminds me of Love, Simon. There was so much murder in that. Oh God.
You know, it also reminds me of sinners, things attacking a barn.
I love. Okay, so by the way, they hide in the shed. They lock themselves in a shed, right? Knowing that the clowns are chasing them. Which I'm like, that's stupid. You're running away from a guy with a chainsaw. You go hide in a wooden shed. But apparently the clowns are so dumb that they are attacking the shed with their pitchforks. It takes them a solid 30 minutes to go. Yeah. All right. We have a chainsaw. But anyway, they end up escaping through this tunnel that's a sewage pipe that for some reason is attached to the shed.
And just leads over.
And just leads about 15 feet away.
It just dumps out onto a hill.
It makes no sense. Like, if it was just like, they should have just left it be a water drainage pipe, because that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
You have a shed. You want your stuff in there to stay dry. So it's still just a wooden shed, though, so some water will get in. We need a drainage system, and just right over down the hill, and we're good. Putting shit in this pipe complicated so many things because it asks the question, why is it there? But not only that, too, the gas in that pipe would have killed all of them before they got out. You can't crawl through a pipe like that. You will die. So, what the fuck?
You see, it had some ventilation somewhere, maybe.
Also, thirdly, they set off a propane-based explosion. That gas explosion would then travel, the fire would then travel and go through the pipe and out the pipe as well, if there is methane in that pipe. But no, it didn't, because seemingly Rust hid in that pipe and lived. Then again, smelled like burnt flesh, they said, so maybe he's just fireproof and was in that tunnel.
They didn't really explain that one at all.
No, it's just typical, he survived off screen, so we don't worry about it. But no, the pipe made no fucking sense. I was just like, but,
now you see,
whatever.
You see, it's not a shit pipe. It's actually the water drainage pipe, and that's just a bunch of mildew.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's fine. They're being over dramatic.
Yeah, it just stinks, kind of.
Yeah. One thing I did point out that I thought was funny about the acting, because, I mean, all the acting's good, but there was a couple moments. I forget what the conversation was. It was a fight between the daughter and the dad, and she's talking, and then at one point, like, to end the fight, she just goes like... and then walks away. I'm like, what was with the hands? Was that a direction note? Like, the director was like, use your hands more. And she goes, nah. And then walks away. I'm like, what
she was just that? Like, teenagers express themselves with their hands.
It's a good question. How old were these people? Because I swear they were not teens. But I've been wrong before.
They're never teens.
They have been recently, though.
Really?
Nope, she's 27.
Yeah.
People have been getting younger, though.
They looked decently young.
I was going to guess 25. I thought they all looked 25.
Oh.
Especially the one blonde girl. Not the main blonde girl. There was just a random girl in class that was wearing a sweater and glasses. And I just remember going like, she is an adult. Oh, but then, yeah, we alluded to his motivation. Because he brings it up and goes on a rant about, like, so their whole reason is they want to kill... Because, like... They're very true to their tradition and their morals, and every couple of generations or whatever, the new generation comes along and they're punks or they're losers or they're deadbeats and
the damn hippies.
Yeah, the hippies and whatever. We need to get rid of them and we need to set them straight, or if we can't, we'll kill them. And then it's like, but your generation with your stupid videos is the worst. And it was such like, it felt like such a response to like the current political climate that it was hilarious.
No, because it was even better because there was that moment, and then there was 2 times with what was the main, not the girl, the main guy that she was into.
I don't know.
You don't remember his name either?
Nope.
All right, Kevin Durant's son in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has a couple of speeches where he's just like, forget about these old people and their old ways of thinking, and don't care about us. You'd rather just burn it all down than give it to us.
You don't care about the earth. He says that out of nowhere. Yes. It's just like all about society and stuff, and then he's just like, you guys destroyed everything and like to blame the next generation. You don't care about the earth. And I was like... Is this about this town or is this about Republicans?
No,
boomer Republicans. What are we talking about?
It's one and the same right now.
It's like, we took a hard left into something else, my dude.
Listen, we never asked the political affiliation of those town folk, but I bet I know what the movie assumes they are.
Yeah. Hey, we're not all rednecks. And by the way, not all rednecks are bad. I'm not. I just like to hunt.
Hey. Some of the rednecks are gay.
Yeah, that's why
They're
he's not
just
a bad
like
guy.
us.
Yeah, wait. It's so funny because it's like it became the generational warfare thing, and it was just like such a heavy-handed political commentary that if it wasn't a comedy, I would cringe. But the fact that it is a comedy made it great.
I will say I'm glad it was kind of true to his character because they gave him a little speech in the barn. But that initial speech was so out of nowhere. It just wasn't. I'm gonna say a couple of things. Don't give in to that old way of thinking or their old thoughts. We're the future and we'll shape this.
Well, they had to give him something to do to possibly lead up or give him motivation to being the killer. Like, you had to, but then that wouldn't make sense as a motivation because he's killing all young people.
No, it was just like, at that point, I just didn't believe he set the fire, and I just figured that this was revenge for the fire.
Yeah.
So... I didn't guess it was his dad in the end. That one threw me a little bit. I guess I underestimate father cruelty.
But it was the whole town at that point.
Yeah,
you mean specifically the fire?
Well, no, specifically like the fire, his father, and then his father leading the pack. I didn't expect either of those things, but like,
why not? He's like the mayor.
It was just because it was a kid. Yeah. That was kind of really all. I expect a little too much from fathers. Now.
Why?
I don't know. Just, it's right. I didn't see abuse in the movie early enough, right?
Yeah, no, that was the one part that I wasn't shocked by at all, that Kevin Durant was behind the whole thing. But at that point, it was like, I'd failed to predict things so many times that I was like, that's just easy to
honestly,
get at this point.
You know what it was? I thought it was a sheriff. Because when the sheriff pulled up, I was like, oh, he's obviously taking the guy he hates the most away to go... I thought he was taking him away to go do the whole villain reveal. This is why I'm doing this. I'm going to hurt you now, and then I'm going to kill you or whatever. No, and then he took him to his dad.
Yeah.
I didn't quite expect that.
I was leaning back into he's the bad guy, and he's getting taken away because he's going to go be the bad guy somewhere. And then when they get caught by the clowns, they're going to bring them before him, and he's going to be like, haha, see, I am the bad guy. I was still on that train. I was still thinking he was the bad guy because I was thinking he was working with his dad. I knew his dad was a bad guy because I'm like, all the adults are. And so then when the dad's there, I'm like, okay, so he is not... he's not the bad guy then. Okay, and I wasn't surprised at that point. But yeah, no, it kept me on my toes much better than these movies typically do.
Yeah, and didn't completely drop the third act. And I can somewhat forgive the ending now, knowing that
it's based on something.
You've got 3 books seemingly, and I guess that's just the way the books end.
Yeah, so it's gotta be a young adult novel. Like, now knowing that it's a series,
I could see
it's totally not written for adults.
Especially if it's gonna follow her, because again, her having the Jack in the Box, I would think he would go back after his kid, the remaining town folk, the new guy who's, again, they go through all of this, right? They move to this town after the mother ODs, right? Mm-hmm. And the father has his breakdown and can't work in the main hospital anymore. They go through all of this in this crappy town. This whole time the daughter wants to leave and the dad wants to make a stay of it. And by the end of it, the dad's running for mayor. And
that was quite the time jump.
I have nothing to make me believe that, like, he's not. I would never trust anybody in this town ever again. I don't 100% believe that they killed every clown in this town. It just seems like there's too many people. Because the whole thing about this is the main group of cool kids is accused of burning down the town's main factory, where most everybody seems to have had a job at, like all these, like, old school factory towns, essentially. Yeah. There's so many people that it seems like it would have affected. Yeah. And it just doesn't make sense that he would stay and try to be the mayor, the main girl's father. Mm-hmm. And that Kevin Durant's character would go chase after the girl rather than staying in the town to clean up the remaining. Yeah. Maybe he does.
Hey,
I don't know how the books go.
The plot is maybe she comes back, and every time she comes back, something.
Yeah, I am just assuming that he follows her to college because of the little Jack in the Box. I thought he was gonna, like, be on the road somewhere in the end, or we'd pass by him.
I really just didn't know why there wasn't some sort of explosion or accident with him. Like, you just.
Well, now they gotta set up.
Run him over instead of the other clown. Put some less blood so he could survive. and we're good.
No, that was hilarious. The final death, they run the guy down, and he literally
He's
just
holding a chainsaw,
vaporizes.
so it just the car hits the chainsaw right into his head, and then he bounces off and rolls over,
but like,
exploding in the.
He literally just turned to just straight blood mulch.
Yeah.
It's just like, it was like he got put through a wood chipper instead of getting hit by a car.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. And they just wiped the blood away because he doesn't even crack the windshield.
Yeah, no, this movie's good. I mean, it's silly, doesn't entirely make sense, but it's a lot of fun.
Nah.
I recommend it.
Doesn't completely need to. I don't believe it's getting the sequels, but I would definitely check out the sequels because I
wouldn't be shocked
curious.
if it did.
I'd have to hear how it's doing financially.
Horror movies always make their money back, dude. I think we're done. That's what we had to think. We enjoyed it, and we do recommend it, so you should go see it too. But like I said before, don't forget to like, share, follow, review, subscribe. All that does help. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.